Okay, my dear students, I welcome you all to the English literature class. We have been discussing about Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. And last week we discussed about symbolism, and we discussed about the technique called the plot, how the incidents which occurred in the story are connected according to a logical order by the writer. So we discussed about that. We discussed about the plot. Under the plot, we learned about 5 different plot situations when it comes to English literature. That is something very much important that you have to pay your attention. So the first part, the opening part, can be identified as the exposition. Then we have the initial conflict. There can be a lot of initial conflicts, my dear students. Then we discussed about the climax. Climax means the most important part of the story. Each and everyone is very much enthusiastic to get to know what happens in the climax. After the climax, there will be a downfall, right? That is what we call the falling action. After the falling action, everything will be normal. That is what we call resolution. After that, we discussed about symbolism. What do you mean by symbolism? Symbols are used in English literature in order to provide some kind of message to the audience. A symbol can be an animal, or else it can be an object, it can be a person, it can be a color, so it can be different, right? So here, let's try to identify what are the symbols that we discussed last week. As a recap, red rose, don't forget the red rose. The red rose is actually symbolizing true love, which needs constant nourishment of passions of the lovers. But unfortunately, in this particular novel, we identified there was no place for true love. I explained you about the utilitarian society. We discussed about the utilitarian society. We discussed about the problems actually people faced when it comes to utilitarian society. So Oscar Wilde always believed in aestheticism, but unfortunately, true love is something very rare because in a money-minded, money-centered world, it is very difficult to find true love. So here the red rose is actually symbolically representing true love. Don't forget that. I have given the red color quotation. When you are writing answers for your examination, when it comes to essay type questions, please make sure to use these quotations, because you can't just write red rose is symbolically showing about the true love. In order to prove that, you have to have quotations. That is why I have given you quotations in each and every place where you can identify the quotation in red color. So make sure to identify that quotation. Make sure to pay your attention towards that quotation. Okay, my dear students, then we moved on to the lizard. If you can remember the lizard and the daisy flower, right? All these animals and the flowers actually cynically laughed at the boy when he was crying for red rose. So they are representing about the person who sees little no good in anything and who has no belief in human progress. In simple terms, you can take them as symbolically about the Victorian society, right? They are they are symbolizing the Victorian society. I told you, when it comes to Victorian society, people who lived in the Victorian society, they did not think about the well-being of other people. They did not think about the humanity. They did not have any empathy and sympathy towards people. So this is clearly represented when the boy is crying because the boy did not find a red rose. Instead of helping the boy to find a red rose, the daisy flower and the butterfly and the lizard, they cynically laughed at the boy, right? They are symbolizing the Victorian society, right? Money-minded Victorian society. So there is a quotation in story, "Why is he weeping?" asked a little green lizard as he ran past him with his tail in the air. How very ridiculous. And the little butterfly and the little daisy flower, right? So I have stopped from there. So make sure to complete that quotation. That quotation is very much important in order to show the symbolical value of the story when it comes to the characters. My dear students, then we discussed about the protagonist character, that is the Nightingale. If you take the short story, out of the short story, 80% of the book, the short story is about the Nightingale's character and the immense sacrifice done by the Nightingale for the betterment of real love. So Nightingale is actually truthful, devoted pursuer of love. So Nightingale is actually presented to us as the epitome of true love. Don't forget that, right? Who dares to sacrifice his own precious life for the betterment of love. Now, when people are actually rejecting, when people are thinking twice in order to sacrifice their lives for the betterment of true love, Nightingale, without having any second thoughts, Nightingale wanted to sacrifice its life for the betterment of true love. But unfortunately, Nightingale was misunderstood, right? What is the misunderstanding? Nightingale thought that the boy is a true lover. So as a result of that, Nightingale sacrificed its life for the betterment of the boy's love. But later, as the audience, we realized that the boy is a passionate lover. The boy only wanted to have a dance with the girl. As a result of that, he threw away the red rose, and the red rose actually fell into the gutter, and the cartwheel went over it. This symbolically shows us again the immense sacrifice done by the Nightingale was not taken into consideration by any person, right? This is the part that you have to pay your attention. Okay, right. Now we are moving to the next symbolism. This is the part that we have to start today, right? The student is symbolizing the Victorian society again. And don't forget, the student is symbolizing the Victorian education system as well. When I was explaining the lesson, I told you about the Victorian education system. Oscar Wilde is completely cynical about the Victorian education system, where when it comes to education, he believed that the education system should provide a balanced individual to the society. This particular boy is not a balanced individual. Even though he has learned about philosophy and metaphysics, he does not know how to face crucial circumstances when it comes to his life. So because he did not find a red rose, he cried like a baby. That clearly shows us what kind of education system prevailed at that time period in the Victorian society. So Oscar Wilde as an eye-opener, Oscar Wilde as a critic, clearly criticized about this educational system. The educational system did not prepare young students to face their day-to-day challenges when it comes to their lives, right? They have only given bookish knowledge, where the boy openly said that I have read so many books, right? But because of a red rose today, I was helpless. My knowledge, my education is not that much relevant because of a red rose today, I became a helpless person. That clearly shows us, my dear students, education is important. Science is important. Mathematics is important. There is no doubt about that. But at the same time, literature is also important to identify about different types of people, how to live in the society. Music, drama, art, theater, all these subjects are equally important to shape your future. So my dear students, make sure to understand each and every subject is very much important. There is some kind of idea in some students, we don't have to learn literature, we don't have to sing songs, we don't have to learn music, we don't have to draw pictures, theater is not that much important, something like that. But make sure to understand, we teach you in order to pass your ordinary level examination to get an A pass, but at the same time, make sure to apply these things into your life. When you are living in the society, in your day-to-day society, you will meet number of people. So in order to understand these people, you have to have some kind of experience. That experience and that knowledge will come to you by doing this kind of subjects. So make sure to understand, my dear children, that is something very much important. This is what the boy lacked when it comes to the society, right? The boy did not complete his education when it comes to the aesthetic perspective, right? According to Oscar Wilde, he said that the boy did not know how to appreciate the beauty of the red rose. The boy did not know how to appreciate the beauty of the song sang by the Nightingale. Why all these problems occurred, my dear children? Because the boy did not know the value of aesthetic life. The boy did not know the value of the aesthetic life. He is a bookworm. He is a bookworm. He openly admits the fact that I am a bookish person. If you read the story very carefully, you will realize that he openly admits that. The boy openly admits that I am a bookworm, right? He openly admits that. So Oscar Wilde is giving us a moral message. Mathematics is important, chemistry is important, physical science is important. At the same time, literature, drama, art, and all these aesthetic subjects are important in order to make a balanced individual. That is the idea given here. So please hurry up, write this part with the quotation, then we'll move on to the next one. Hurry up, my dear students. Okay, my dear students, shall we move on to the next part? Duladi, can you understand? Dinat Mandiv, Kavitma Hansana, Hansana, Kavitmi Hansana, Kavish, Rehan, Ruchini Taruka, Sasandi Suryarachi, Shenu Vikramaratna, Suwani. Can you guys understand? Shall we move on to the next part? After finishing the lesson, we have been discussing about the literary techniques related to the lesson. Right, last week we started with the plot of the story, and after that we discussed about similes, then we discussed about metaphors, then we discussed about the characterization, and today we are going to discuss about symbols, right? Different types of symbols, what kind of explanation that we can refer to when we refer to that symbol, and the importance of that symbol is also discussed. In red color, you have been given the quotations that you have to study when it comes to your ordinary level examination. You have to provide the quotations in order to prove your answer. So having quotation is a must, right? Having quotation is a must, right? So we are moving to the next part. We are going to discuss the themes of the story. If you take all the English literature lessons that you have learned up to now, let's take poetry. All the poems that you have learned, they were under the category of different types of themes. If you go to your textbook, you can identify 5 themes when it comes to poetry. What are the themes that you studied? Basically, all the poems are actually divided into 5 themes. What are the themes that we have? We have nature, we have society, we have humor, we have conflict, right? Likewise, they have divided the themes. We have life, right? So they have divided all the poems according to the themes, but they have not divided short stories like that, because when it comes to short stories, you can't divide a short story or else a drama or else a novel under one theme, because there will be a lot of themes. Whatever the questions for your ordinary level examination will be based on themes. So it is essential to have some kind of identification about the themes of the story. That is a must. The short story, The Nightingale and the Rose, is rich in the thematic value. There are a lot of themes that the writer tries to address to the audience. The allegorical prose weaves themes into the narration with dexterity and questions many values embedded in our social order. What do you mean by allegorical? Allegorical means lot of symbols and lot of explanations are used in order to explain something by referring to certain objects and certain animals and certain characters. Allegorical means that. Allegorical means the characters are symbolizing some kind of ideas. Now, as an example, I told you Nightingale is representing, right? Nightingale is representing true love. I told you, that is what we call allegorical, right? That is what we call allegorical, right? You have a lot of people who are representing certain themes, certain ideas. Now, if you take the boy, he represents the passionate love. That is what we call allegorical, right? He represents passionate love. He is not just a mere boy. Don't think that he is just a mere boy. This is what we call allegorical, right? So if you take the professor's daughter, right? If you take the professor's daughter, right? Professor's daughter is actually representing. What does she represent? Can you tell me? Anyone? What does she represent? Anyone?
Materialistic love.
Very good boy. Very good. Excellent. Materialistic love. So my dear students, don't think that they are just mere characters, right? They are not just mere characters, my dear students. They are allegorical. Allegorical means they are symbolically representing something. They are symbolically representing something. That is why I have used that word, the allegorical prose. This is not just a mere prose. Can you understand, my dear students? Don't think like that. Don't think like that, right? So this is not just an allegorical story. These allegorical characters are also very much important when it comes to the appreciation of the story as well. So make sure to pay your attention in that, right? Most themes carry an ironical piquancy and many myths about human emotions, such as love is wonderful and precious, and it brings joy to the hearts of mankind and shattered. Or other themes such as unbalanced education too are depicted as negative forces. When you read this short story, my dear students, you can clearly find the theme of love. There are a number of themes, as he explained, right? A lot of people are under the impression that love is wonderful, love is quite interesting. People have to love in order to continue this world. Likewise, we have a lot of positive vibes about love, right? So the same positive vibe can be identified when it comes to the Nightingale's character. right? But unfortunately, we are living in a money-centered society, whether we like it or not, right? Everything will be based on money. You can sell anything anywhere, right? That is the society that we live in. So as a result of that, there is no place actually for human emotions. There is no place for kindness. There is no place for humanity. There is no place for respect, right? There is no place for education. The reason is that you can buy them. You can take them into, you can convert them to money. So as a result of that, there is no proper place in this world when it comes to human emotions. The same thing that we discussed when it comes to Victorian society can be also applicable for today, the modern world as well, right? That is the reality. So, however, as a result of that, what has happened, there is no power, there is no value for real love. There is no power, there is no value for real love. That is why, at the end of the day, the Nightingale died. All the other two characters, they survived, right? The Nightingale is the only one who paid the price from his life, right? Where none of these people will do that kind of sacrifice. I am pretty sure about that. However, Nightingale did that, right? In that perspective, Nightingale is important. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the theme of love. At the same time, my dear students, don't misunderstand. There are other themes as well. Actually, if you take as a very popular sub-theme, the sub-theme of education is something very much important that we discuss. If you go through the past papers of ordinary level examination, you can see number of past papers that they have asked about this sub-theme, the education. What kind of idea that Oscar Wilde had when it comes to the concept of education? They have asked that question, right? So let's discuss what are the themes that we have when it comes to the story and how we are going to address to these themes when we are writing answers for this type of a short story, right? So please make sure to pass me a message if you have finished. Hurry up. Please make sure to pass me a message. I hope you guys have completed. Suwani has completed. What about the other students? Sasanthi Suryarachi, did you write? What about Ruchini Taraka, Rehan, Amisha Anthony, hurry up. Did you finish? Shall we move on? Now we are moving to the themes, right? Why themes are important? Because almost all the questions will be based on themes. If you go through literature, literature is all about themes, right? There is no a literature piece that you can find in this world without having a theme, right? Definitely there is a theme because these books, these short stories, these novels are written by people. So if you are a person, definitely you will have number of themes in your heart. Number of themes in your heart. It can be nature, it can be kindness, it can be passion, it can be anything, right? So you may have number of ideas in your heart. This is what I should do. This is my career path or something like that, right? So we live with ambitions, whether we like it or not. But according to Lord Buddha, it is not to have a lot of ambitions, a lot of expectations, but we are just normal human beings. We can't live like that, right? Our lifestyle is totally different from theirs. So we believe in that, right? We believe in that, right? Okay. So I hope that you guys have completed. Next, move on to the theme of love, right? Make sure to write them point-wise because that is something very much important. There are some quotations. If you can refer to the book, you can find that quotations as well. Make sure to write them in a different color pen, or else you can use the highlighter as well. Let's go to discuss about the theme of love, my dear students, right? Okay. Multi forms of love are examined in the short story. I have explained to you about the triangular of love. If you can remember, the love of the boy is a passionate love. The love of the girl is actually materialistic love. The only real love is possessed by the Nightingale. Don't forget that statement when we are discussing the theme of love, right? I have given them all in point form. Then it will be very much easier for you to understand. True love represented by the Nightingale, the true love involves sacrifice, selflessness, and suffering. None of these good qualities can be identified when it comes to the professor's daughter. At the same time, these qualities cannot be seen when it comes to the boy. This kind of quality, authentic qualities can be seen when it comes to the Nightingale. Without having any second thoughts, Nightingale was ready to sacrifice its life for the betterment of true love, right? So it is one of the strongest human emotions. That is totally correct, because in order to take such a perilous decision, I am going to die myself, there is no point of living. That kind of decision is actually taken by who? Taken by the Nightingale. So in order to take that much of brave decision, just imagine that what kind of mentality possessed by the Nightingale. That is something very much important that you have to pay your attention. And the next thing is that we should not forget all the other two characters are actually what do you call, man and a woman. But if you refer to the Nightingale's character, Nightingale is an animal, right? So the writer tries to explain the fact that sometimes animals are much more valuable, and sometimes animals are showing much more authentic qualities than human beings. That part is also important, right? So we will go to the third line. The love is wiser than philosophy and mightier than power. This is actually said by, this is actually explained by the boy. True love is better than life, right? That is how they have compared true love. True love is a love that dies not in the tomb. He stands the least of the time. True love is the rarest among mankind. It is often discarded as the red rose for a lesser emotion, which might not deem sacrifice, right? So the reality of the, there are certain points that I have highlighted. So whatever the loopholes, whatever the plus points, you can refer to the writing when it comes to that, right? So if you have any questions, you can ask. Check whether you have completed. Hurry up. Please make sure to pass me a message. Meaning of the allegorical Duladi. Allegorical means you have symbolically represented certain ideas, certain what do you call themes in the story by referring to animals or people. By referring to animals or people. Now, as an example, true love is represented by the nightingale. That is what we call allegorical. Allegorical means without telling true love, without using the word true love, in order to represent true love, Puta, we have used the nightingale. Did you get that? In order to show that Victorian society is full of snobbish people, in order to show that people who lived in a Victorian society, they did not care about true love, we can clearly depict whose character? Professor's daughter's character. So that is what we call allegorical. Rather than telling directly to the audience, this character is like this character is like that, you can use allegory as a very powerful language expression, right? In most of the novels, they use allegory in order to explain about the particular character, right? So that is what we call Puta allegorical. You are trying to use a character from your short story or else from your novel in order to explain some kind of a theme, some kind of a idea, sometimes which he tries to share with people, sometimes he is not to share that with people, right? There is something what we call allegorical, right? So we will move on from there, right? The love is better than life. That is what he understood when it comes to affairs, right? So true love is love that dies not in the tomb. It stands the rest of the time. So this quotation is also actually explaining about true love. Almost all the quotations are given by him, discusses about the true love. The love is the nearest among mankind. It is often described as the red rose for a lesser emotion, which might not deem sacrifice. Right, okay. So hurry up and write down. Please pass me a message after writing. So we discussed about the theme of true love. Hurry up. The true love is represented by the red rose. Even the true love is represented by the red rose. Even though the boy took the red rose to the girl, actually she rejected that. So this created a lot of problems in the boy's life. The boy understood that she is actually very much ungrateful, and he realized the reality, and he did not wait there until what do you call see anyone. So he actually threw away the red rose, right? That is what happened. Suwani, did you get that, Puta? Not Suwani, I'm sorry. Duladi, did you get what do you mean by allegory? Can you understand allegorical? It is very similar to personification, Puta. Personification means we are giving what do you call human qualities to animal beings or something like that. Instead of giving human qualities, we are trying to explain, we are trying to take that particular character as a symbol of this, right? Symbol of jealousy, symbol of good-heartedness, symbol of love, something like that. Right. Tomb, right? Amisha, tomb means අපි කියන්නේ අර කනත්තේ හදන්නේ පුතා උපත විපත කියලා ගහලා සිමෙන්ති වලින් කෙනෙක් මැරුණාම, that is what we call tombstone, right? Tombstone means after your death occurred, there is a stone engraving saying that this is the year that you have born and this is the year that you have death, rest in peace. That is what we call a stone engraving, right? In the cemetery, right? So hurry up and write down. Please pass me a message if you have finished. Any question that you have, please make sure to ask. Most probably I will finish the story today, and next week we are going to start Clown's Wife. Did we do the Clown's Wife, Puta? Please pass me a message. Did we do that poem, Clown's Wife? Did we complete? All right, okay, good. Right. So we have completed Lumber Room. We have completed Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. Now we have completed Nightingale and Sangakkara Story, Lumber Room, Nightingale and the Rose by Oscar Wilde. We have to start with Wave, right? We will start Wave, the short story, and we have completed up to, I have read 9 chapters. I have read 9 chapters from the textbook, right? So we have to write the notes from chapter number 6. We have only few chapters to go. Most probably in the month of February, we can finish the novel as well. I'm pretty sure that in your schools, they have not even thought of completing the novel, but we can most probably finish the novel by the end of February or else at the very beginning of March, right? So please hurry up and write down. Please pass me a message if you have finished. I'm really sorry today I can't use my camera and everything because there is a power cut in our area. Most of the other students also can't participate for the session because of the power cut, but can't help. Sometimes you have to go through the recording because we don't have time. We need time. We have to battle with the time because I'm pretty sure most probably they will call you the exams sometimes, most probably in December or else 2024, January or February, right? So you have to be ready. You can't say that, no, they wrote the exam in May. We also have to write the exam in May. That is not going to happen, right? Even though they face number of problems, I don't think you faced that much of problems that they faced, right? So make sure to get ready, right? Your school will say number of things, but you have to get ready with this, right? Otherwise, it will be difficult. We don't keep our past recordings, Putha. I'm really sorry. We can only provide you the recordings of the relevant month because I don't have enough space. So sometimes I delete that because we don't have enough space. We can provide you the recordings related to this particular month. Right, so I'm moving to the next part, theme of infatuation. What do you mean by infatuation? This is important. Infatuation means, Putha, you are not in love, but because of some kind of star quality, you are going behind something. If you are a boy, sometimes you will be much more attracted to the girl's body, the figure, or else her hair, or else her beauty, or else her skin. That is what we call infatuation. That is not real love. The infatuation is actually allegorically here shown by the student. The student never wanted to continue everlasting love with the girl. He never wanted to continue an everlasting relationship. He always wanted to have a dance. Don't forget that, my dear students, right? So here, theme of love is directly explained by, represented by the boy's character, right? So this is another part of love. So love can be identified in several ways. There is a love triangle. I explained you the infatuation. And then here we have the materialistic love. Previously, we discussed about the true love. This form of love is impulsive. What do you mean by impulsive? That particular person will do anything to achieve his or her love. That is what we call impulsive. Impulsive, we discuss the same word when it comes to our short story, The Lumber Room, right? Aunt is an impulsive character where she thinks that she is correct, right? She did not care about other people. She thinks that she is correct. And superficial, as it is based on mere physical attraction. That is something very important, right? It is true. First and foremost, when you see a person only, you will get the first impression. If that person is not nice, if that person is really ugly, you will not get an impression. But make sure to understand the impression can be taken like that. But if you are going to live with that particular person for the rest of your lives, you have to think beyond that. Beauty is not everything, right? Beauty is not everything. You have to think beyond that, right? Beauty is not everything. Right, okay. So I hope that you guys can see the screen. Can you please pass me a message? Can you guys see the screen? You can write down, I think. Anyone? Okay, thank you, Dua. Suni, thank you so much. Right, okay. So now you know that boy is allegorically representing infatuation. Now you know what do you mean by allegory. Allegory means, Putha, they are not just mere characters. Yamkisi navakatavaka, yamkisi ketikatavaka inna charita, nikamma nikang hudu charita neveyi. හරි අපටත් වැසිකිලියක් කියලා ඕගලන්ට තියෙනවා කෙටි කතාවක් සිංහල පොතේ ගිහිල්ලා බලන්න. ඒගොල්ලෝ නිකන් චරිත නෙමෙයි. ඒ චරිත වලින් යම්කිසි සමාජ යථාර්ථයක් නිරූපණය වෙනවා. දැන් මේ කෙටි කතාවේ ඔබට පේනවා මේ ඉන්න කුඩා චරිත තුන සත්ව චරිතය ඇතුළුව මේ ඉන්න කුඩා චරිත තුන යම්කිසි සමාජ යථාර්ථයක් ආදරය සම්බන්ධයෙන් නිරූපණය කරනවා. සමහර මිනිස්සු ආදරය කරන්නේ බාහිර පෙනුමට පමණයි. ඒක තමයි මේ ඉන්ෆැචුේෂන් කියලා හඳුන්වන්නේ. මට ඔබට සිංහලෙන් පැහැදිලි කරන්න පුළුවන්. මම සිංහලෙන් පැහැදිලි කරන්නේ නෑ මේක ඉංග්‍රීසි සාහිත්‍ය පන්තියක් නිසා. There are a number of students who are doing English medium. But I did my A levels in Sinhala and English both, so I can explain you. Even in Sinhala literature, you have the same thing. ඕනම කතාවක් ලියවෙන්නේ යම්කිසි තේමාවක් මුල් කරගෙන. ඒක සබාධම වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ඒක දුප්පත්කම වෙන්න පුළුවන්, හරි ඒක සමාජ සාධාරණය වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? ඒක ගුරුගෝල සම්බන්ධය වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? මොකක් හරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මොකක් හරි තියෙන්න බෑ යමක් ලියන්න මොකක් හරි අත්දැකීමක්. හරි යම්කිසි අත්දැකීමකට අනුවනේ මේක ලියන්නේ. ඒතකොට මේකත් එහෙම තමයි. කතාවක් නිකන් සතුටට ලියන්නේ නැහැ නේ ගෙදර ඉන්න ගම. කතාවක් ලියවෙන්නේ යම්කිසි අනුභූතියක් මත. මේ අනුභූතිය තමයි මේ කතා කරන්නේ. මේ අත්දැකීම තමයි මේ කතා කරන්නේ. එදා අර ජරාජීර්ණ වූ එංගලන්ත සමාජය දිහා බලලා මිනිස්සුන්ගේ තිබ්බ ඒ පුරුෂාර්ථ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ තිබ්බ ඒ ආදරණීය ලක්ෂණ බිඳ වැටෙනවා මෙයා ඇස් දෙකට දැකලා මෙයා මෙයාගේ පෑන හසුරවනවා මිනිසුනේ නැගිටින්න සල්ලි කියන්නේ හැමදේම නෙමෙයි සල්ලි ගොඩනගන්න පුළුවන් හැබැයි ආදරේ ගොඩනගන්න බෑ සැබෑ ආදරය මනුෂ්‍යත්වය සමාව දීම වගේ හොඳ ගුණාංග ගොඩනගන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක තමයි මේ කියන්න හදන්නේ සුද්ධ සිංහලෙන් කිව්වෝ දැන් සිංහල කරන ඇතිනේ මෙතන හැමෝම සිංහල කරනවනේ විෂයක් විදියට හරි ඒතකොට එහෙම තේරුම් ගන්න මේ භාෂා දෙකක් නෙමෙයි ලැන්ග්වේජ් එක විතරයි වෙනස් සිංහල සාහිත්‍යයත් ඔය වගේම තමයි ඔකේ 아무තු මගුලක් නෑ ඒකත් ඒකම තමයි ඉතින් 아무තු දෙයක් නෑ ඒකෙත් කතා කරන්නේ ඔය ටිකමනේ අත්දැකීම අරමුණ භාෂාව ලිටරචර් කියන්නේ ඒකනේ අත්දැකීම මොකද්ද අත්දැකීම කොහොමද අරමුණු කරගෙන තියෙන්නේ ඒ අරමුණ කරා ළඟා වෙන්න පාවිච්චි කරපු භාෂාව මොකද්ද what is the experience how that particular experience is actually depicted to us what kind of narrative techniques what kind of poetic techniques used by the particular person in order to give that message and how that message is presented. This is what we call literature, right? What kind of language is used for that, right? What kind of language techniques are used? Symbols are used, metaphors are used, similes are used. That is what we call literature. මීට වඩා literature කියලා ඉතින් 아무තු දෙයක් උගන්වන්නේ නැහැ නේ සිංහල සාහිත්‍ය කරන අය මෙතන ඉන්නවනේ. You do Sinhala as a subject, right? So I think you have to do Sinhala as a subject. I think Sinhala is compulsory, I guess. Right? So this is what you have to understand. Understand in that perspective. This is not just a mere subject. You have to learn, right? You have to understand, right? That is something that you have to pay your attention. So we discussed about outward demonstration of its strength, such as offer of gifts. Weeping is usually associated with infatuation. These are the things associated with infatuation. When you are infatuation, you don't know the qualities of love. You can't understand why you love that particular person. We don't use the word love, Buddha. We use the word like. In your terminology, you use the word crush. How many of you have heard the word crush? I have a crush on her. I have a crush on him. I don't have that terminology. I don't have that terminology in my mind, right? So, but in your terminology, I am pretty sure you have that. Outward demonstration of strength, right? That part is not related to this particular story, Buddha. But if you refer to other stories, most of the boys, they like to show off in front of the girls. Sometimes they do a lot of stunts on bicycles on the road. You may have seen that. This is not relevant to this story, but you may have seen that, right? Those are the characteristics of infatuation. That is what I have explained, Nazan. Can you understand that? The boy did not take a motorbike and showed his talents in front of this girl. But there are some boys who do like that. That is what I have explained. Some boys like to get the attraction of that particular person by showing off, right? They go to gym, they show their 8 packs, 6 packs or whatever like that, right? So this is infatuation to get the attraction, but attraction is not love. Please try to understand. Attraction is not love. We will be attracted for number of people, Buddha, right? We will be attracted for number of people. Now, most of these girls these days, they are attracted for BTS, right? So that is it. After 5-6 years, they will have something else. Those are Buddha attractions, right? For a not a long period of time. For a temporary period of time, Buddha, you will have the connection. After that, you will give up. Same thing happened to the boy. Even though the boy cried, soon after he found a red rose, what actually happened at the end of the day? When the boy presented the red rose, the girl said that, no, I am not going to love you. He threw away the red rose. Same thing will happen to BTS. Same thing will happen to what you call Emma Watson or any other beautiful woman, any other beautiful girl that you have seen in this world. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. That is the reality of life. We have to face that. Right? So this is what we discuss, right? Is usually associated with infatuation. Brands true love as a silly thing. So this type of people believe that true love is a silly thing, right? If you can remember in the story, the boy believed like that. He believed that true love is a silly thing. right? At the end of the story, if you can remember, right, when the girl actually said that you don't have even silver buckles on your shoes, but Chamberlain's nephew has given me all the valuable opals and jewelries, you can't even afford them. So the boy understood that there is nothing called true love. Why should I go behind this girl? Now, if he is a true lover, Puta, what he should do? He should kneel down in front of girl and he should sing a song and he should beg for love. Please don't do like that, my darling. I will come behind you. You are the only thing that I ever expect in this world, my darling, my beautiful honey, my beautiful son, my beautiful. The boy did not do like that. He did not waste his time. He directly identified that this girl is not going to like him. That's it. That's it, right? So he understood that there is nothing called true love. That is the moral message also given to these teenagers by Oscar Wilde. You guys are teenagers. So in this teenage, you will definitely have some kind of crush to another person. That is a must. You have to have that because otherwise you are not actually biological, right? When you have the hormones, definitely you will have some kind of crush. The boys will have that towards the girls, and the girls will to the boys. But the problem is, don't think that that will ever last, right? That is not going to ever last. Make sure to remember that. That is very much temporary. That is very much temporary. That is the idea actually provided by this particular writer. Make sure to understand as teenagers, this is what you have to pay attention, right? So we will move on from that. Brand's true love as a silly thing. It is always telling one of things that are not going to happen and making one believe things that are not true. It is quite unpractical, the boy says. According to the boy, okay, the people who are going behind infatuation, they believe that, okay, even if the girl said yes, do you think that this boy will continue an everlasting relationship? Never. He will have a dance and he will go away. He will have a dance with the girl and he will go away. That is what happens. He will never continue an everlasting relationship. Only for that moment, right? The girl's hair is beautiful, only for the hair. The girl's body is beautiful, the figure is beautiful, only for the figure. The boy has a red car, only for the red car. The boy is tall, only for his physical appearance, right? The boy is a rich fellow, only for his richness. Soon after, you don't find that there is no love at all. If the girl gets a cancer and she has to remove her entire hair, what will happen? That love will not ever last. That love will never ever last, right? When the professor's daughter said that I don't like to dance with you because besides this red rose is not matching to my dress, the boy understood that there is no point of going behind this girl. There is no point of going behind this girl. I hope you guys can understand. Right. So we have a false passion which does not think of sacrifice. A false passion which does not think of sacrifice. Now, these people who are going through the infatuation, right? They are not ready to sacrifice anything. Right now, the boy desperately needed the red rose. He searched for a red rose everywhere, and when he didn't find a red rose, he cried. He did not take any attempt. On the other hand, Nightingale took a really good attempt, and at the end of the day, when the Nightingale could not find a red rose, it sacrificed its life for the betterment of the boy, and from the Nightingale's blood, the red rose was there. But yet, the boy did not pay any attention towards the Nightingale, right? That sacrifice was actually at the end of the day wasted. That is what we can understand. Most of these lovers, they are not ready to sacrifice themselves. It is an intense feeling, but without the quality of being believable, short-term and easily forgotten. That is also important. It is very short-term. When it comes to infatuation, it is very short-term. Now, if you see a beautiful girl today, if you see a more beautiful girl tomorrow, definitely you will forget about the previous one. That is what happens. We are human beings, whether we like it or not. That is our mentality. That is how it works. That is how it works, right? So then we will move on to the last one. Infatuation is a common form of love. It is full of doubts and fickle. Infatuation is full of doubts and fickle. Fickle means can be changed at any time, right? Suddenly she or he will give a call and say that I want to break up. That's it. That is not true love. So she or he actually used you for a certain time period for physical happiness or mental happiness or anything like that. But at the end of the day, once he understood that there is no point of, there is no journey towards that particular fellow, towards that particular girl or boy, he or she will do the same thing. That is something natural. That is something natural, very natural, right? Infatuation is a common form of love. It is full of doubts and fear. Hurry up and pass me a message. Make sure to complete. I completed my explanation. Hurry up. Okay, my dear students, I hope that you guys have completed. So we will discuss about the next part, right? So if you have any questions, you can always use the chat section and you can send me a message. Whatever the ideas, whatever the expressions, sometimes your school teacher will give a different interpretation. So we can discuss about that, right? We can always agree to disagree, right? Okay, so we will move on to the theme of love. This is what we call conditional love, right? So conditional love, it is actually, you can use the word more than the conditional love. It is better. Please make sure to correct that as materialistic love. That is the best word that I can use. My dear students, make sure to use the word materialistic love. More than that, that word is much more better, right? More than the conditional love, make sure to write materialistic love. That is much more better, right? So she represented materialistic love. Right? She represented materialistic love. That is important. Right? Materialistic love. We call that as materialistic love, right? Love based on materials. You can say love based on conditions as well. That is also fine, but it is better to use the word materialistic love that anybody can understand, right? This entire story actually based on this Puta, if you can understand these three perspectives of love, that can be identified as one of the major themes. Represented by the professor's daughter, right? And at the same time, make sure to remember professor's daughter clearly represents the utilitarian values of the Victorian society. Make sure to highlight that, very much important, right? The professor's daughter clearly explains us the utilitarian values of the Victorian society, right? Utilitarian values of the Victorian society. That is something very important. Utilitarian values of the Victorian society, right? What are these utilitarian values? right? Victorian society. What are these utilitarian values, right? The utilitarian values are actually she always lived. Her major intention was intention is for money. That is one utilitarian quality. Money is number one, right? Money is number one. No place for genuine human emotions. No place for genuine human emotions. This is the second point that you have to remember, right? Utilitarian values, right? Her major intention is for money, no place for genuine human values, right? The way she humiliated, and harassed the boy by comparing him to Chamberlain's nephew, right? So these are the utilitarian values, actually, right? These are the values. You can remember them, right? These are the values. Conditional love, or else we can use the word materialistic love, is not genuine. As its name suggests, it sets down conditions which needs to be satisfied. If you can remember, the girl first said that if somebody is ready to bring me a red rose from anywhere, I will dance with that fellow. That is what she says. When the boy came with a red rose, then she directly changed her view. And she said that red roses I don't like because they are not suitable for my dress, and they are not that much valuable when I compare with them with all the jewelries and opals. So she compared them. Can you understand? So that is what we call condition. There is always a condition. If you provide me this, I will give you this, right? If you provide me a Lamborghini, I will provide you this. If you provide me a necklace, I will give you this. Condition. Everything is based on condition. That is not real love, but it is also a part of love. So love is actually divided for three perspectives here, right? True love, infatuation, and materialistic love, right? So these are the three things that you have to remember. I hope that you guys can see the screen. Board එක පේනවද පුතා? Board එක නෙමෙයි, මේ screen එක පේනවද? මේ ලියලා තියෙන ඒවාෙන් පේනවද අපේ සුවනි? පේනවනේ දරුවෝ. හරි, right. Thank you. Very good. Right. Now my dear friends, right. So is often based on social conditions, materialism and status, social status. It is again a utilitarian value, the social status, right? Again, a utilitarian value. So people actually used to associate the ones who are eligible for their social status. The ones who are eligible for their social status, right? For their social status. The boy does not come from that social status where Chamberlain's nephew come from, right? The boy does not belong to the social class, where Chamberlain's nephew, right? Chamberlain's nephew belong, right? This is the problem. Social status. This is another quality of the Victorian society. This can be identified as another quality of Victorian society, right? Important to pay your attention, right? The ones who are eligible for their social status. So the Chamberlain's nephew is from a very good society, high class society. He had money, but the boy is not wealthy. He is not in that social class. So as a result of that, the girl gave up. So if your love is based on social class, that is definitely a materialistic love. You are not going to love that person truly. You are going to love that person because of that maintenance, right? He maintains his qualities. He maintains his richness, right? That is why you are loving that particular fellow, right? I don't know whether it is correct or not, but that is what we call materialistic love. This form of love does not associate itself with emotions, right? The girl did not care about the emotions of that innocent boy. She did not care, right? That is why she clearly compared the boy to the Chamberlain's nephew. It is a very cynical comparison. If you read very carefully, you can identify that. Very cynical. Look at your shoes. They don't have even silver buckles on them. What kind of person would compare that kind of shoes and attire and everything, right? So you can understand she is very much cynical when it comes to her comparison. This is the real Victorian society. If you want to see the real Victorian society, you have to go through the character of the girl. This is the real Victorian society, right? This form of love does not associate itself with emotions, alters and seeks of wealth and higher social class of the partner. It is transferred easily to a better contender. That is important, right? If the social partner or else whatever the partner that the girl is going to have, if that particular person is not showing that much, what do you call, interest or else a kind of a higher social class, definitely that person will be replaced. Now the boy is replaced to Chamberlain's nephew. And do you think that Chamberlain's nephew will remain forever? Do you think that the Chamberlain's nephew will remain forever? No. If another person comes with money more than Chamberlain's nephew, definitely she will take a decision. Definitely she will take a decision, right? She will go with that person. That's it, right? So she will not think about the emotions, right? There is nothing like that. She will take that decision. We can't say she is wrong, right? This is the reality of Victorian society, whether you like it or not. They have to take that decision. Otherwise, they didn't have any alternative, right? So they take that decision. That's it. Though projected as a female affliction could be equally applicable to males, this too is a common form of love. Even though this is depicted from the professor's daughter, always make sure to remember, boys, this can be also represented in male characters as well. After teaching this lesson, a lot of boys will throw the finger towards the girls and say that because of that quality only, they had to give up their relationship. But you are wrong. Make sure to understand. Number one, the boy is a stupid fellow. That is true. There is no doubt about that. On the other hand, the girl also belongs to the high class, right? The professor's daughter. So professor is kind of a educated person. So obviously, he is much more better and much more richer than the boy, right? So the problem that we have to discuss here is that even the boy had that kind of social status. He would do the same thing. He would do the same thing, right? So it differs, right? When the question is not yours, when the question is your friends, you can give number of philosophical answers, right? Your answers are very philosophical. Your answers are very much practical, right? When it comes to what do you call execution wise. But when you get a problem, right, nobody will help you to answer a question, right? So that is what happens in the story, right? That is what happens in the story, right? So don't think that this kind of love can be only gained from a female. This is open to males as well, right? This is open to males as well, right? So can we say that the story shows the different mindset of girls and boys about the concept of love? Puta, that is what we have been discussing all day. Where were you been, right? So that is what we have been discussing all day, especially teenagers, Puta. Right? Boys and girls means, Puta, especially teenagers, because this is actually targeted upon you. That is why this kind of lessons are actually selected for you. Otherwise, you will think that why they have selected this kind of lessons for you in order to give that message, right? As young boys and girls, you have to learn about that message. That message is very much important. The message provided by them. That is something that you have to pay your attention. Very much important, right? Okay, so we will move on. Chamberlain's nephew. Chamberlain's nephew means the Chamberlain. First, you have to go through the word Chamberlain. When we take the Victorian society, especially when you take the court, right? Where it is known as the time period of the king and queen, right? So a Chamberlain means, when you go through the story, right? First and foremost, he is a nephew, but he had some kind of connection with the Chamberlain, right? What do you mean by a Chamberlain? Who is a Chamberlain? Have you heard the word Chamberlain? Can anybody pass me a message? Chamberlain. You know the word nephew. What do you mean by Chamberlain? Anyone? Chamberlain? Anyone? Yeah, exactly. One who works in the castle or the court. Exactly, right? That is the social class, right? They were working actually in the courts. So they had some connections, right? They had some connections. So that is what we call a Chamberlain. Chamberlain is a person who works in the courts. Someone like a minister, right? If you take today's society, you can refer to a minister, right? So he's a nephew, right? So an officer managed the household of a monarch or noble, right? A noble character. So the person who works for the noble. Nobles means all the kings and queens. That is why he's taken as a Chamberlain, right? Okay. So I will move on to the next part. Make sure to write down. How many of you are writing still? Shall I move on to the next slide? Did you write? Okay, thank you, Buddha. I will erase this. Right. We will move on to the next part. Theme of education. This is something very much important. Make sure to write down while my explanation is moving. I told you the theme of education is taken into consideration by referring to the character of the boy. Even though boy is a very talented, clever student who studied, what are the subjects? Metaphysics and philosophy. Even though he studied metaphysics and philosophy, he was not able to find a solution to his own problem. As a small boy, as a school boy, he cried when he did not find a red rose, right? That is pathetic. According to Oscar Wilde, he openly says that the education system has not created proper individuals with balanced mindset in order to face this kind of problems. That is what he explained. So let's read this very carefully, then we will try to understand what we have to pay our attention when it comes to the theme of education. Education is given a fairly negative value in the short story, fairly negative value, because in the period of industrialization, the valuability and validity is only given to the important subjects where you can find out certain jobs. As an example, biology, mathematics, physics, chemistry. More importance were given to that type of subjects because they needed new knowledge. At the same time, they needed what you call knowledgeable, wise people in order to do their jobs, not to achieve any targets, but continue their jobs, right? They had a lot of jobs to do in the society. Though the student pursues the nature of existence, truth, life, and the universe, it has not taught him of human emotions. That is something important. The boy did not understand he is a human being and people have human emotions. He did not understand that. He is unable to discern between true love and infatuation. That is because of lack of education. Now, we have 14 students in the class. Now, you can understand the difference between infatuation and true love, because you did literature as a subject and the boy did not do literature as a subject. As a result of that, he cannot differentiate. The education received by the student is symbolized by great dusty books. So these words are very important. Make sure you write them inside the quotation marks, Puta. Great dusty books. Great dusty books, right? Theoretically, it is great. When it comes to theory, the books are great. You can gain a lot of knowledge from them, right? The theory knowledge is super. But when it comes to practical scenario, this is the problem that we have to address. Most of the students, they complete their O-levels with 9 A's. They complete with their A-levels with 3 A's, enter to the university, complete the 4 years degree and say that I don't have a job. I don't have a job. And the country should provide me the occupation, right? I am a degree holder. I need this amount of money. But make sure to remember, Buddha, practical knowledge is something else. Theoretical knowledge is something else. There can be a lot of people who know the theory really well, but when it comes to the practical scenario, make sure to understand world is cruel, world is full of injustice. You can't change that. You have to understand that and you have to come to the game. That's it, right? Don't expect that everything will be okay. People will be helpful. They will help you in your work. That will never ever happen. When it comes to education also, the same thing will there. You will associate number of friends. At the end of the day, your friends will pass the examination and they will go to their targets. You will be alone forever. That is what happens. Whether you like it or not, after your O-level exam, you can see whether I'm telling truth or not. That is what happens, right? So theoretically, so many things are really beautiful. But when it comes to practical scenario, you will face number of problems. Theoretically, it is dusty denotes that it is ancient knowledge with theoretically searches for meaning in addition to other things of human life. Such education has left the students defining his short experience in love as a quite unpractical, shallow emotion. The boy thinks that that kind of emotions are unpractical, shallow emotions, right? Further, as far as human behavior is concerned, he states that in this way, from responding or feeling the stronger emotions of mankind, his reaction to the beauty of the rose is, I am sure it has no Latin, it has a long Latin name. He has no qualms about plucking it, right? So he did not try. He did not even try to pluck the red rose, right? So we can refer to the theme of education. The theme of education clearly suggests the boy is not equipped with education, and the education system also had number of problems when it comes to teaching students, and they did not understand the different sections that you can refer to when it comes to schooling. If that particular person is not that much talented, they can refer to different classes or something like that. But unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, we don't find them, right? We still actually practice Victorian education system, but England has actually gave up that education system long time back. But in Sri Lanka, you can see this certain elements of Victorian education system, right? If you go through that. So hurry up and finish this. We discussed about the boys' education, what kind of problems that he faced, and how he survived at the end of the day, right? Please pass me a message after writing. Hurry up. Okay, right. I hope that you guys have completed, right? So we discussed about the education. One question, at least you have to score more than 13 for say type questions, more than 13 to 12. If you write the context question paper quite well, at least if you get more than 35 or 37 for the context question paper, then you don't have to write much when it comes to second paper. It depends, Kuda. Some students, they really write quite well when it comes to the first paper. Sometimes they don't write well for the second paper. It depends actually. Right. We will start the paper class also. That will be started somewhere around end of February, right? This batch I have to prepare for the examination 2022 batch. Then we will start the paper class as well. Where in the paper class, you will get a detailed description, how to write answers, how to select questions, and how to select quotations, right? Everything will be explained. Wilde makes him see the rose, but not the nightingale, dead in the long grass with the thorn in her heart, right? These quotations make sure to highlight. These quotations make sure to highlight, right? So I have given some quotations in my description. We are in theme of education. I think you have completed that. We are in this part. So we have to highlight this, right? Dead in the long grass with the thorn in her heart. Symbolically, he may be suggesting that the form of education of the student is engaged in has left him blind to sacrifice and selflessness. Due to this education system, the boy did not know the meanings of the words called sacrifice and selflessness because he did not care. If you can remember, when the boy is really sad, Nightingale used to sing a song, right? The boy actually heard the song, but he did not care actually. He did not pay any attention to the song, right? Because he did not know how to appreciate the song. That is number one. These things are very much important now. Additionally, he lacks an aesthetic sense. Please make sure to write and highlight that. Additionally, he lacks an aesthetic sense which is concerned with beauty and art. Since because he did not learn about anything when it comes to music, when it comes to drama, art, literature, anything, he did not know how to appreciate them, right? That is because of the problem of education. The education system has made robots. Education system has made robots, right? They are just mere robots. They did not know how to perform. They were actually so much mechanical, right? Most of these children, they were so much mechanical, right? They used to work. They were actually trained as really good employees, right? Really good employees in order to employ in their large factories when it comes to industrialization, right? They were not given that freedom to think independently, think out of the box, right? That chance was not actually given for them. That chance was not actually given for them. This is what we have to discuss. This is what we have to pay our attention, right? This is what we discuss when it comes to the theme of education. So Oscar Wilde tries to explain the fact that that is why the boy had to undergo so much suffocation, so much pain, right? But finally he understood. But if he understood that, if that knowledge can be provided by the college or else from the education system, he will not fall into that prey. He will not fall into that prey. Now you will never fall into that prey because you have learned literature. You know the story, right? These characters you will find in your life, not in the same manner, in a different manner. And definitely you will remember the story. You will meet a Jagan somewhere, right? Somewhere, right? Someday you will meet a Jagan, you will meet a Mali, you will meet what do you call Aunt, you will meet Grace, Ambika. These characters you will meet in your day-to-day life, whether you like it or not, right? Then you will realize that, okay, this is life, right? So I have come across this type of characters in my life. This is not something uncommon for me, right? So I have been in these situations, right? I have learned some subjects which taught me how to survive in this world, which taught me the reality of this world, the bitter truth that we have to face when it comes to the society, right? That is what literature is all about, right? That is what literature is all about. Whatever the secrets that were hidden in the deepest corners of our hearts, literature will definitely reveal them. The naked truth that we don't like to send in front of other people, right? That is the importance of literature as a subject. That is the importance of literature as a subject, right? So that is important that you have to pay your attention. This is heightened by the cynicism towards artists. Thus, the system of education undergone by the student has left him an unbalanced individual. That is the word I have used always, right? Unbalanced individual. The word is important, my dear students. Unbalanced individual. He's not a balanced individual, right? So you have to do sports. You have to learn. You have to do mathematics. You have to learn physics. At the same time, you have to dance. You have to sing a song. You have to write an appreciation. You can write a poem. You can participate in a debate. You can act in a drama. So everything should be done because you are going to live only once. This life will be never enjoyed by you again. Never, right? So live the maximum out of it. Get the maximum out of it. That is important. Don't be robots. That is the idea given by Oscar Wilde. Don't be a robot. Enjoy your life. We need everything. We need everything, right? So don't be limited. Don't be limited, right? Devoid of the fine-tuning of his aesthetic sense, education has created a human being who is practical in everything. Who is practical in everything, right? Sometimes we can't be practical in everything. Sometimes we have to accept the fact that certain things are impractical. Certain things are beyond our control. We have to accept that. Now the boy needed the red rose. He could not find a red rose. That is actually beyond from the practical scenario, but he did not try hard to find. Can you understand? That quality is not there. If you need the red rose, you have to try hard, right? You can't cry and wait, right? If you go through science, right? If that particular reaction does not work, let's go for another reaction. If you are going through mathematics, if that particular method is not well enough to get the answer, you can try another method. You will use another method, something like that, right? So why don't you give a try? But the boy did not try because he was not in the mindset to do like that, right? On the other hand, he actually did not need the girl. He actually did not need the girl, right? He only wanted to have a dance. That is the idea behind this, right? So we discussed about a lot of themes today, my dear children. The theme of love. Under the love, we discussed about the three themes based on the three characters, actually. The nightingale, the boy, and the professor's daughter. And we discussed about the theme of education today. We discussed about the symbolism, the part of symbolism. So today we completed 5 parts when it comes to this lesson, right? So within one lesson, we can finish it off and we can move on to the next lesson next week. So hurry up and write down. Please pass me a message if you have completed. Please make sure to send whatever the questions. I'm really happy that some people like Rehan and we have Sadeumini. I really appreciate Puda. Then we have Suwani and Amisha and Haran, right? They are asking questions. Sir, why do you say so? Sir, what is the meaning of this? So make sure to ask questions. Don't be mechanical. Even though it is an online class, you can always ask questions from the teacher. Make sure to ask questions. Make sure to clear your doubts. Go to the exam without having any gray areas. That is important, right? And make sure to have your own authentic idea about the story. Don't be a carbon copy of something else, right? Make sure to have an authentic idea. This is the story. This is how I'm going to write. This is my mentality. This is what I am going to possess. That's it, right? So I hope that you guys have completed. So we will try to discuss the last slide. Right. So here, Wilde is critical of an education system which is unbalanced as symbolized to the student. It spews out insensitive human beings lacking the higher forms of human emotion. This education system is lacking human emotions. They did not pay any attention to the valuability of human emotions. That is why Wilde is totally upset about that. Thus, Wilde suggests that intellectual development devoid of aesthetic development. If you are going to develop the intellectual sense of the child without trying to understand the aesthetic development is equally important, that will definitely result in what kind of individual? A shallow viewpoint towards life. That student will have a shallow viewpoint towards life. If a student is only going to pay his attention towards his academic work without thinking about the aesthetic work, what will happen? Definitely he will be an imbalanced person, just like the boy. Agreement comes from an educationist of modern times, Dinac, that he says, who suggests that aesthetic education influences the experiencing, feeling and enjoying of beautiful things as a counterbalance to our currently rationalized world. We are living in a rationalized world. What do you mean by rationalized world? Everything will be rationalized. Why are you doing science? Because I have got 9 A's for O-level. Why did you do science? Because I want to become a doctor. Why do you want to become a doctor? Because I want to earn money. Everything will be rationalized. There is a reason, right? Rationalized. So we are running behind a mirage. We are running behind money. At the end of the day, we have achieved everything, but we have lost something. That is happiness, right? So some people are really rich, but they are really poor because that they have only money, that they have only gained money. So they are really poor. They have only one thing. They have money. That's it. You may say that, sir, they have money. They can buy anything. But there are certain things that you can't buy, right? Happiness cannot be bought. You may say that, no, sir, we can buy. We can buy crazy ass happiness if you have millions and millions and dollars. So what is the ending line? What is the end line that you refer to, right? One day you will realize, just like Jagannath, by self-actualization, happiness should be there in our heart. It is a state of mind. It is not determined by the amount of wealth that I acquire in my life, right? So that is important. That is why at least the greatest scientist in the world, if you take Marie Curie, Pierre Curie, and if you take most of the scientists, they had some kind of odd hobbies, right? So sometimes they used to draw pictures, sometimes they used to play the violin, sometimes they used to play the piano. Why is that? They are greatest scientists because that aesthetic education is something that you have to practice. If you don't practice, what will happen? You will become a robot. That is why you listen to a song. That is why you watch a film, a TV series, Stranger Things, anything like that. You watch them because it gives you some kind of freedom, right? Some kind of freedom. That is why you listen to BTS, right? After studying for 4 to 5 hours. So it gives some kind of freedom. So aesthetic education is important to make a balanced individual. We have emotions. We are not robots. That is why the boy did not understand the value of true love. He can't understand. He was not able to. He was not ready to understand the value of true love because he was not given that chance actually when it comes to his education. Analyzing the beauty of literary art will provide such a counterbalance at a young age to the target population of the study. That is the major motive of Oscar Wilde, where he wanted to provide that knowledge, that artistic sense to most of the people. Albert Einstein, thank you, Putha. I forgot the name. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Putha. I forgot the name of that scientist. Sanukar, thank you, Puthe. Right? So that's what, right? So he played the violin. He did not want to play the violin. No, Putha. He's a scientist. Why should he play the violin? Why should he play the violin? Because he's not a musician. He is not going to superstar. But it gave him some kind of freedom, some kind of happiness. We need that in our life, don't we? We need that. Even I like to go and watch the movie Avatar, right? We need that. Some kind of freedom from our busy and hectic life. So we need that. So we cannot live without aesthetic subjects, right? Aestheticism. So in order to become a balanced individual, all these things should be practiced. Right, so I'm going to wind up from there. So next week, we are going to discuss some target questions based on this story. We will discuss 2 target questions and we will wind up the story and we will start the next poem in your syllabus and we will continue from there. Until chapter number 9, I have read The Vendor of Sweets and we have to write the note from chapter number 6, part 3, I think. So I hope that you guys are continuing your work. This is month of January. Make sure to have that motivation. But remember, without having a discipline, there is no point of having motivation. You may have that motivation when it comes to the month of January, first day of January. From today onwards, I am going to do my work. From today onwards, I will wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I will study geography, science, mathematics, and then again, you sleep. That is not going to work, Putha. Motivation is important. More than motivation, your discipline is important. Make sure to continue that discipline. You will achieve something in your life. You will get the motivation. Motivation will come and go. That's it. When you watch a video from Facebook, you will get the motivation. But after that, you will lose the motivation. But if you continue the discipline, obviously that discipline will definitely help you to achieve your targets, achieve your goals. Thank you so much. We will meet next week.